I'm not saying that your job is easy, but when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What call are you like bugged out?
All of them.
Most? Everything?
Like, it's just like they're just so inconsistent. Like, that's my thing. Like, if you're on the other team and you're going to be finding the shit out of me,
yeah,
cool. But let me do it to you.
Let you, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You want
like,
consistency then.
Yeah, like just give. And I think that's players across the league and like new fans across the country. Like everyone's like, what is going on with the refs? And I'm like, I don't know. And you finding me $500 is not going to do shit.
The WNBA is facing its most explosive credibility crisis after Sophie Cunningham's fearless truth-telling triggered a financial crackdown that backfired spectacularly. What began as one player's frustration over questionable officiating has snowballed into a full-scale rebellion, exposing deep fractures in the league's leadership. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about silencing voices, protecting stars, and the survival of sport at its breaking point.
I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, like, again, I think she's a hell of a player and, like, would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. Like, you literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. Like, and if you're gonna do that, then give it to our guards.
Stick around as we expose why this $2,000 fine ignited a wildfire that could consume the entire league. Before we dive deeper, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell. You won't want to miss where the scandal goes next. The fuse was lit not with a scream, but a sigh of exhausted frustration. Sophie Cunningham's TikTok wasn't planned activism. It was a raw, unfiltered moment after watching referees miss blatant calls endangering players. The caption to some refs stupid or slow, maybe useless resonated because it echoed what fans saw nightly. Officials staring directly at collisions yet swallowing their whistles. The league's $500 fine felt less like punishment and more like a gag order, a shocking overreach for an athlete simply verbalizing the arena's collective groan.
Cunningham posted the video 6 days ago, which shows her lip-syncing lyrics from Sabrina Carpenter's song Man-Child. The caption to the video is, "At some refs."
Stupid. Or is it slow? Maybe it's useless.
Yesterday, Cunningham reposted the video on X with a caption about the fine.
This wasn't about disrespect. It was about safety. When elbows fly unchecked and players hit the hardwood, without fouls called, silence becomes complicity. Cunningham's crime was refusing to be complicit. Imagine filming a 30-second video on your phone and accidentally detonating a league-wide bomb. Cunningham's choice of Sabrina Carpenter's Man-Child lyrics was surgically precise, implying referees lack professional maturity. But the WNBA's reaction proved her point.
Like, I just hate the inconsistency.
Like when whistles are player-focused, that's like, I think that's a huge problem.
Well, she's gonna be one of those players that, like, she's already gonna be a GOAT. Like, she's gonna be a Hall of Famer. Everyone knows that she's freaking hell of a player, but, like, getting some of those whistles already, oh my, I couldn't.
Rather than investigating the officiating flaws she highlighted, they weaponized Rule 12, conduct detrimental, like a blunt instrument. Players privately seeded. Why $500 for a TikTok when dangerous flagrants went unpunished? The fine revealed the league's priorities, controlling narratives over protecting athletes. It transformed Cunningham from frustrated player to accidental martyr, proof that speaking truth carried a price tag. Her podcast, Dissecting the Fines, became the courtroom the league never wanted. Calmly, methodically, Cunningham dissected the real epidemic. Referees applying rules differently quarter to quarter, favoring certain stars while ignoring violence against others.
7-0 Indiana run. They're within 2 and a foul. This time, Peckers does get the call.
I thought this might have been an offensive foul. Howard for the finish.
Indiana's considering challenging this call, but they will not, as Peckers gets free.
She described phantom fouls called on clean blocks, while genuine hacks went unpunished. The league's response? A $1,500 fine for repeated criticism. This wasn't just punishment. It was a neon sign flashing. Your observations are unwelcome. Players across locker rooms got the message. Point out a ref's mistake. Drain your bank account. The chilling effect was instantaneous. The GoFundMe explosion wasn't just about money. Fans flooded campaigns with $5 and $10 donations, turning Cunningham's fines into a viral protest. Petitions demanding ref accountability now hit 50,000 signatures in 48 hours.
Backers, putting her hands on Sophie to shove her up. You see Sophie's hand in the air. Both hands are in the air right here. And Paige Beckers is shoving. She is shoving her clean off. Boom. Pushed her right into Howard. Pushed her into Howard. Now she's wide open and waiting for a pass like she just didn't do anything. Like she just didn't do anything. Wide open down here. Look at her. And then all of a sudden you get the whistle. And look at the ref. You see the ref? You see the ref right here. Calling the foul. And guess who the foul was on? Sophie Cunningham.
Why? Because viewers recognize the patterns, late game phantom calls altering outcomes, inconsistent technical fouls for bench reactions, superstar treatment versus rookie neglect. Social media overflowed with side-by-side clips, identical plays where one drew a whistle, the other crickets. The league's attempt to silence criticism became proof of its validity. Charles Barkley once called a referee a rotten piece of fruit on live TV. Draymond Green rants about officiating weekly.
Overturn it to an offensive foul. You could also maintain that it's a foul but take away the continuation. All of those things could happen here on this call.
The interesting thing is when you get to this point of the play, it is a foul on Boston. But it's because her arm was clamped earlier in the play.
I mean, look at that.
Like, what can she do there?
She literally can do nothing. I don't know how that's not overturned to an offensive foul.
I agree with you.
That looks about as clear as it gets. And you saw how quickly Stephanie White challenged that.
Their consequence? Applause and ratings. The NBA's secret is simple. They let players vent because it validates fan frustration. Transparency reports admit officiating errors, turning mistakes into improvement opportunities. The WNBA's approach? Fine first. Explain never. Imagine NFL quarterbacks getting fined for complaining about unflagged helmet-to-helmet hits. It's not just hypocritical, it's dangerous. When players can't demand basic safety enforcement, the game's integrity bleeds out.
We have no illegal conduct by Euro, so the call will stand as confirmed. This will be also. Indiana will lose their challenge as well as their timeout. One shot for Euro. Thank you.
That's stunning to me. I mean, Aaliyah Boston, look at her. Lee puts her one hand down and then pins Boston down with her other arm.
I gotta say, Rebecca, I'm sure we'll get an explanation from Sue Blau at some point soon.
The Aaliyah Boston play was an anomaly. It was exhibit A in a pattern. Watch the tape. Boston's arm gets pinned before she dribbles. A foul so obvious even casual fans see it. Yet officials called the contact during her shot attempt on Boston. Coach White's challenge failed despite HD proof. Analysts stammered in disbelief. How is this not overturned? This happens weekly. Refs miss off-ball maulings because they're ball watching. They call touch fouls on perimeter players while ignoring paint assaults.
I mean, I think it was a physical game, you know. I think there's a double standard in how people get their calls. I think Kelsey Mitchell, number one, is held or chucked on every freaking possession and never gets a call off the ball. I think Aaliyah Boston is the worst officiated post player in the league. She never gets a call. And you know, there's a double standard there, certainly. But you know, again, if it's going to be physical and you're gonna allow us to be physical, then allow both teams to be physical. If you're going to call the holds and you're going to call the chucks, and you're going to then call it both ways. So I mean, I think that we've been pretty consistent in what we're asking for, and I didn't feel like it was consistent, especially for those two. I think you could call a foul every time down the floor on.
It's not human error, it's systemic negligence. Cunningham GM pulling her aside wasn't a warning, it was public shaming. Teammates watched as she was told, keep talking, we'll keep fining. This creates a culture of fear. Rookies learn, swallow your frustration or lose a paycheck. Veterans self-censor, knowing $2,000 fines hurt more than uncalled fouls. Contrast this with the NBA, where coaches hold post-game film sessions with referees to clarify calls. The WNBA's silence isn't authority, it's insecurity.
The thing that I have the biggest issue about the female sides of refs is like, they're so emotional. Like the guys, no, the NBA officials, like the NBA players mother those officials like no other.
Yeah.
Like I've worked broadcast, I've been to games, I'm friends with these people. They mother them.
Yeah.
And the only person that I've ever seen able to like mother a ref on the women's side is Diana Taurasi.
And they take it.
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah, they have
and
to.
But when she's probably one of the worst people that I've seen go after refs, and I loved every second.
If officials were confident, they'd welcome dialogue. Caitlin Clark takes more legal contact than any rookie in memory. Clotheslines, hip checks, shoves midair, all met with shrugs. Yet Cunningham gets fined $2,000 for saying refs aren't doing their job. The math is damning. $0 in fines for players who nearly injure Clark versus $2,000 for naming the problem. Coach White nailed it. Call it both ways. When Boston gets hammered under the rim with no whistle, then gets called for breathing on a shooter, it's not basketball, it's referee roulette.
Now, the refs, and I'm not saying they're emotional, the men and women, it doesn't matter the gender.
Yeah.
On our side, they are too emotionally invested and they can't take it. And I'm like,
is it new to the WNBA that you guys are maybe talking more shit back to refs, or has that been a thing forever?
Oh, it's always been a thing.
Multiple players describe refs who ref the player, not the play, letting reputations dictate calls. A touch foul on a star? Whistle. A mugging on a role player? Play on. Former MVP Candace Parker once noted, "You earn respect from officials over years, but rookies deserve safety now." Refs who thin-skinnedly penalize bench reactions instead of focusing on court violence aren't enforcing rules. They're enforcing submission. Until officials see players as partners, not adversaries, this war continues. When the Wall Street Journal asks if the WNBA has a hostile workplace, alarms should blare. Legal experts note, fining employees for criticizing working conditions may violate labor laws. Players whispering they'll fine you for anything isn't just gossip, it's evidence of a broken system. The league's refusal to explain fines or publish officiating evaluations fuels conspiracy theories. Trust isn't broken, it's incinerated. The Paige Bucher shove on Cunningham is a masterclass in referee failure. Slow-mo shows Bucher's two-hand shoving Cunningham into Howard. The foul? Called on Cunningham for contact during her stumble. It's Kafkaesque, penalized for being assaulted. Meanwhile, League HQ hunts Cunningham's podcast for actionable comments. This isn't priorities, it's malpractice. Protect players, not egos. Stephanie White's rant was a volcano erupting after years of seismic pressure. Her dissection of Mitchell's held jerseys and Boston's uncalled bruises wasn't coaching. It was a citizen's arrest of the system. Call it both ways should be the league's mantra, not a revolutionary demand. When coaches join players in open revolt, the crisis isn't coming. It's here. The WNBA faces a choice, reform or fracture. The WNBA's golden moment hangs by a thread. Record crowds pack arenas, jersey sales skyrocket, and Caitlin Clark's gravity bends national attention toward women's basketball like never before. Yet beneath this explosive growth, a fault line widens, one where inconsistent whistles and retaliatory fines threaten to swallow the league's credibility whole. Players lace up wondering if tonight's referee crew will tilt the court, their careers hostage to officiating roulette. When a single missed call could mean playoff elimination or a slash paycheck, the pressure isn't just physical, it's existential. Fans feel it too, exchanging uneasy glances as phantom fouls rewrite games. What happens when audiences stop believing what they see? When rigged, whispers drown out arena cheers. That's the cliff the league teeters on. Financially, the stakes couldn't be higher. Major sponsors and broadcast partners now demand stability, not scandal. Corporations investing millions won't tolerate viral controversies overshadowing their campaigns. Imagine boardrooms buzzing not about Clark's deep threes, but about referees ignoring her getting body slammed. Or worse, players fined for mentioning it. This toxic cycle repels the very partnerships that could fund higher salaries and expansion teams. Why would advertisers back a league that punishes truth tellers while tolerating dangerous play? The math is brutal. Lost trust equals lost revenue. For players, the psychological toll deepens daily. Rookies learn fast. Complain about officiating, empty your wallet. Veterans bite their tongues as uncalled elbows fracture ribs. This forced silence breeds resentment, fracturing locker rooms. When athletes can't demand basic safety without bankruptcy, the sport's soul withers. Worse, inconsistent calls distort careers. A star's legacy shouldn't hinge on whether a ref saw a shove in the fourth quarter. Yet here we are, championships decided not by skill alone, but by whose fouls go unseen. New fans pose the greatest danger. Millions tuning in for the first time see Clark targeted with no whistles. Then watch Sophie Cunningham get fined $2,000 for calling it out. The message screams hypocrisy. These casual viewers, the lifeblood of growth, won't decipher Rule 12 violations or basketball operations protocols. They see a star punished for honesty and a lead protecting incompetence. And they'll leave fast. Retention relies on authenticity. And right now, the WNBA looks like a league more invested in controlling narratives than protecting players. The solution isn't complex, but it demands courage. First, suspend all fines for officiating criticism immediately. Let players voice concerns without fear. Second, launch transparent review panels where teams submit questionable calls for public evaluation. Third, mandate referee press conferences to explain controversial rulings post-game. Accountability rebuilds trust. Lastly, protect all players equally. If Clark gets hammered, blow the whistle. If Boston gets mauled, call the foul. Consistency is free. The clock ticks louder each game. Every blown call fuels fan petitions. Every fine sparks new GoFundMe campaigns. The league can still choose reform, using this firestorm to forge fairer standards. Or it can keep silencing voices while the foundation cracks. One path leads to legitimacy, the other to irrelevance. The ball isn't just in their court, it's hurtling toward the abyss. The $2,000 fine imposed on Sophie Cunningham didn't silence criticism. It poured gasoline on a 5-alarm fire. This moment crystallizes the WNBA's ultimatum: evolve or implode. The league's punitive approach has backfired catastrophically. Where they sought obedience, they ignited rebellion. Where they demanded silence, they amplified dissent into a national conversation. Now, the path forward splits into two radically different directions, one lit by transparency, the other shrouded in suppression. Path 1, the transparency revolution. Solution-driven expansion. Imagine an independent officiating review board, not staffed by league loyalists, but former players, coaches, and international referees. This neutral body would publicly grade officials after every game, releasing accountability reports that break down missed calls with video evidence, track consistency metrics, e.g., foul disparity between stars/role players, require referees to explain controversial rulings in post-game videos. This isn't fantasy. It's how Formula One rebuilt trust after race-fixing scandals. For the WNBA, it would transform rage into resolution. Players could submit formal feedback without fear, knowing complaints trigger actual reviews rather than fines. When a ref consistently grades poorly, mandatory retraining. Repeat offenders, removal. Suddenly, criticism becomes constructive, a tool for improvement, not a threat to suppress. Path 2, the downward spiral. Consequences of inaction. Continuing the current path guarantees for explosive outcomes. Player exodus. Top talent flees overseas leagues where officiating is consistent and criticism isn't fined. Why risk your career in a league that finds truth? Sponsor abandonment. Major brands won't associate with hostile workplace headlines. Expect jersey patches going empty as partners distance themselves. Legal landmines. Labor boards already scrutinize fines for workplace feedback. A single lawsuit could force public arbitration, exposing league secrets. Fan mutiny. When viewers believe outcomes are arbitrary, they stop investing emotionally. Attendance dips, ratings crater, and the growth surge reverses. The irony of the $2,000 fine. Cunningham's punishment proved her accusations in 3 devastating ways. Priorities exposed. Fining a player $2,000 for words while ignoring elbows thrown at Caitlin Clark screams misplaced values. Systemic failure. The speed of fines versus the silence on officiating errors proved machine works better for suppression than improvement. Cultural toxicity. Pulling Cunningham aside to warn they'll fine you again wasn't discipline. It was intimidation. That moment will haunt locker rooms for years. The financial reckoning. Transparency isn't just ethical, it's profitable. Consider lost revenue. A single controversial playoff game could cost millions if fans boycott. Sponsor demands. Companies like State Farm and Google demand ESG, environmental, social, governance compliance. Silencing players violates social standards. Player salary cap stagnation. No sponsor growth equals no cap increases. The very athletes driving the boom get trapped in a broken system. The generational divide. This crisis pits old guard leadership against a player base that won't be silenced. Veterans remember when speaking up meant blacklisting. They whisper warnings to rookies. Gen Z stars like Clark grew up with social media as a megaphone. They'll film TikToks over fines. Coaches like Stephanie White are caught in the crossfire, defending players risks league retaliation. The visibility trap. Paradoxically, the WNBA's soaring popularity makes this crisis more dangerous. Every blown call now trends nationally. Every fine sparks memes. When a referee misses an obvious foul against Clark, casual fans see incompetence. Toxic trolls scream rig. Media dissects it for days. In the social media era, suppression fuels virality. The league can't find its way out of this. A blueprint from the brink. 3 immediate actions could salvage credibility. Fine amnesty. Refund Cunningham's $2,000 and publicly apologize. Admit the approach failed. Referee office hours. Let officials explain rules via Instagram Live. Humanize them. Show their training. Player ref summit. Facilitate private talks where athletes voice concerns without cameras. Turn adversaries into allies. The unforgiving clock. Every game without reform deepens the damage. Players second-guess drives to the rim, fearing no calls could end their season. Coaches hoard challenges like gold, knowing referees won't self-correct. Fans watch through cynical lenses, questioning every whistle. This erodes the sport's essence, pure competition. So what's your verdict? Should the WNBA immediately halt player fines for officiating criticism, create transparent referee evaluation systems, equally protect all players from dangerous contact, or risk alienating the fans fueling its growth surge? The answer could determine whether women's basketball reaches its potential or becomes a cautionary tale. This fight transcends Sophie Cunningham. It's about every player's right to demand fair working conditions. It's about fans trusting what they watch. It's about whether the league values image over integrity. If you believe athletes deserve protection both physically and verbally, drop accountability now in the comments. Share this video so more fans understand what's at stake. And subscribe right now because this battle is just heating up and you'll want front row seats when the reckoning comes.